This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show.
Today we're going to be talking about Soghati, which are Persian souvenirs. As we're ending the summer season, we thought it would be a good opportunity to do a little cultural spotlight and talk about the custom of Soghati, as it is such an important part of Persian culture, and that we thought it would be a great time to kind of share some of that in case you've done any summer traveling or you know anyone who's kind of coming back from Iran or doing other summer travel, and talking about the fun idea and concept of Soghati. I'm here with the lovely Bita June, as always. Hi, Bita June.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Let's talk about Soghati. Tell us, what are some things that we need to know about Soghati?
That's a huge part of Persian culture. Soghati is typically when you are going somewhere, you take things to the person that you're visiting. Mm-hmm. But if we break that down even more, it is kind of just gift giving. And anytime you go to someone's house, you don't go empty-handed. That's something I think everyone can relate to when you take a bottle of wine to a dinner party or some flowers. It's definitely a part of Persian culture. Oftentimes, I think in our family anyway, when we're going somewhere to visit, it might be staying with some family or friends. And so it's a way to kind of say thank you and bring things from your hometown to them that they may not be able to get.
Exactly. And then, especially when you're traveling far, it's really nice. I know that going back to Iran, they're always so excited to see what kind of even the candies or treats that we have here or clothing and things like that. Those are all really kind of things that they look forward to receiving as gifts. And reversely, when we come back from Iran, you can just have a suitcase dedicated just to the Soghati that you're going to be giving to other people. Growing up, I went to Iran a bunch of times and we always had family visiting, and there was always kind of some key Soghati items that we would look forward to, and even now I look forward to. So maybe let's talk about some of the top Soghati that we can kind of expect coming from people who come back from Iran, or maybe if you know someone who's coming, maybe you can ask them for some of these things. But starting off the list, I know this may not be the most conventional Soghati, but anything gold is always really appreciated.
Oh, yeah. It's got a very high carat. So absolutely. Persian gold is something super special. I think Indian gold is comparable. Mm-hmm. It has such a high content of good quality gold that the color of it is different.
Yeah, totally. So that's always fun. I think it's a little excessive to expect that people are going to bring you gold. But if you have someone or a close relative coming and they can bring you a nice bangle or some new earrings, that's always really fun.
Yeah, or special occasion. Maybe they're bringing something for a wedding or a new bride or groom. Uh-huh. Yes, not every time, obviously, but maybe for a special occasion. The gold in Iran is something very special.
Yeah. So if you're not getting actual real gold, another thing that is actually more expensive than gold by weight is one of the most special exports of Iran is actually saffron.
Yes.
So saffron, I would say, is probably one of the most popular Soghati that someone will bring you from Iran. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's a royal spice. Getting saffron as a souvenir from Iran is really fortunate. It's like gold. And when it's bloomed in water or butter, or however you prefer to bloom your saffron, we sometimes call that liquid gold.
Yeah, exactly. And when you buy the saffron there, when you receive it as a gift, it's usually in these cute little containers. Sometimes they're a little plastic container, or sometimes they're just in a little cardboard box, a small box that really kind of showcases the saffron. It'll have a clear window and you can see the beautiful strands of the red parts of the flower. And it's light and it's an easy thing for people to bring back. It is expensive, but it's one of those really special things that come from Iran that we love having.
I just thought of a really cool souvenir I recently got from one of Bob's cousins who came back from a visit. Uh-huh. It's related to saffron. It was a beautiful gift box. It wasn't only saffron, but everything inside of the box had saffron. So it had saffron teas and saffron, dessert boxes of things that you could stir together and make, and actual saffron. And I don't know how she brought it back. It was really huge. It had a lot of items in it, but I was so happy and excited to get such a generous gift brought back.
Yeah, so beautiful. That sounds really lovely. Some other items that you may get from Iran or for Soghati are a lot of dried fruits and nuts. So I think the most coveted one of that is really the Persian pistachio. We have a pistachio episode that we talk all about it, but the pistachio from Iran, many times it's roasted with lime and salt and saffron, and it has such a unique taste. And like the pistachios themselves are like bursting out of the shell, and they're big and plump and super delicious. So I think pistachios is pretty much one of those soghati that is like, oh, piste, that's how you say it in Farsi, is piste, is always like such a treat to get when someone goes.
If anyone asks me, what do you want me to bring back? Then I always say piste.
Yeah. There's also dried fruit. And specifically what I'm referring to is zirishk, the dried barberry that we use in zirishk polo and other foods. That's a little bit tart and a little bit sweet. And it's such a great addition to food. And it's actually kind of hard to get here. You can get them from Persian markets or your favorite online Persian retailer. But it's so cool to get it from Iran. And they're beautifully packaged. And that's like a fun one to get too.
Back in the day, people would go as far as to bring back Persian carpets. Talk about a beautiful, very special, intricate art. One of my father's hobbies was collecting Persian carpets, and he became a specialist. So I have memories of him teaching me all about it, turning it over and looking at how many knots per square inch and what is this one made of and what does the pattern of this carpet mean? Now, is this tribal or floral? Count how many animals are in it. So it was a lot of fun. And he became a specialist in our area, and he would give speeches and lectures even at the universities. And he and my mom would get up early and go to auctions in the US and try to collect some of these rugs. But
wow. First of all, I didn't realize that about your dad. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
He passed away coming up on 3 years ago. If he was here, it would have been so neat to have him as a guest.
That would have been so cool if our fathers were around to have them be a special guest on our show. They had so much to say, but maybe we can substitute by having our moms on the show one day.
Yes, absolutely.
But yes, absolutely. I mean, if you are lucky enough to have someone bring you a gift of a Persian rug, then you are really lucky. But Persian rugs can be so intricate. And yes, those are all hand knotted, many times with silk weaved throughout it. And yeah, each kind of region has its own design even. So I think Persian rugs is definitely a very, very special soghati. If you are, the lucky recipient of a Persian rug, that would be awesome. But some things that are like a little bit smaller also is also some of the sweets and desserts and cookies. They have regional specialties. So I know like my family is from Kermanshah, and they have a bunch of specialty kind of cookies. They have the noon khormai and the noon berenji and noon shakari, which are all like these little cookies, and kak, which is like thin layers of pastry with powdered sugar and rose water all throughout it. And it's dry little kind of trapezoid shapes of the cookies themselves. And then, there's gaz, which is like a Persian, like kind of nougat pretty much, that has like pistachios or almonds in it with rose water, and sohan. Those are all really delicious treats that you can get from Iran. And a lot of times people will bring those back as souvenirs to just share with their family and friends, to enjoy themselves, and also to kind of like spread the word, kind of showcase some of those really beautiful treats that Iran has to offer for people who aren't lucky enough to be able to go.
Yeah, what's another sort of candy that I was recently reminded of? It was in one of the photos that I found of my mom's last trip to Iran, to a coffee house. There was a little side of pashmak.
Oh, yes.
Persian cotton candy. And every once in a while, someone will bring that back. It's so interesting and different.
It's very fluffy, but it's more dense than like American cotton candy.
Yeah.
When I think of American cotton candy, it's very light and airy. This is a little bit more dense, but it's like so soft and pillowy and like melts in your mouth.
Powdery almost.
Yeah.
So fun.
And another thing that people love to bring from Iran, you can get it here too, or you can make it yourself, is lavoshak.
Oh, yes.
Lavash and dried albalu.
Mm.
We love sour things, so that was always like a fun treat. But you get lavash in these huge sheets and all different flavors. Like you'll get like apricot and sour cherry and a bunch of different flavors and mixed sometimes, and these big sheets of lavash, and that's always really fun to get when someone comes back from Iran.
If I ever get the opportunity to go on a trip, I'm bringing back lavash. You want to know why?
Why?
That sounds like it's really easy and efficient to pack.
Yes, it's nice and flat. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It does get heavy.
Really?
Yeah, the thing is that when you get a lot of these things in Iran, they're weighing it by the kilo. So if you're like, oh, ye kilo peste, it's like 1 kilo is like over 2 pounds. So it kind of like starts adding up. But yeah, you're right. Lavash is easy to pack, but I think if you get a lot of it, it will start to get heavy.
My mother-in-law, when she packs, she does a system which I started doing. You kind of wrap everything in a sheet.
Yes.
And so, yeah, is that a Persian thing?
Yeah, I think so.
And so if they open it in costumes or something, like it's just a little more protected or whatever, and then that could get laid on top of the sheet.
Yes, that's a good idea. Or on the very bottom of the suitcase. So you really are trying to take as much as you can when you go to Iran. You know, we try to just pack our suitcases like to the brim, and to the point that if you ever know someone who's going to Iran, they're usually like either using a special suitcase scale, or they're asking the young men in the family, can you lift this suitcase and weigh it for me? And so you stand on a scale and you hold the suitcase and you see, all right, you have 50-pound limit. You got 48.5 pounds. Like, how can we squeeze in a little bit more?
Yes. Or kilos.
Right, exactly. So there is really an art of wrapping your suitcase up. And a lot of people will use like a chador or like a big sheet of fabric and wrap it. And not only is that easier if you have to go through customs and they open everything up, but that huge suitcase busts at the seam or breaks open, all of your stuff is not falling out. It's all still contained.
Oh my goodness.
These days, if I'm like traveling, if I have like a sarong or like something, I'll try to like kind of wrap some of my stuff. So
yeah, I literally like cut half of an old sheet and then that's for my suitcase.
yes.
As a kid, I only got the opportunity to go back to visit Iran once pre-revolution. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely on my bucket list to go and go to all the beautiful places as a tourist. I don't have much family left there. Most have gone to Australia and Europe and US. But my mom used to still go back because she still had family quite a bit. So my mom is an artist and a designer and a creator, and she had a boutique for many years. So when she would go back to Iran, she would take clothes for her sister and family members, an entire extra suitcase of clothes and things from the US to take back to Iran. Those are the kind of memories I have of her packing and thinking of what would be nice for her sister, what would be nice for her cousin, and so forth back in Iran. What type of memories do you have of things you would take to Iran, I guess?
So, I mean, like packing the Soghati to go to Iran can be like, honestly, can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes because you really want to make sure that you have something for everyone. You know, if you look at a family, you really want to take at least one thing for like every person of the family. You know, they come, when you go to Iran, they like kind of accept you and embrace you and welcome you with such open arms. The people are so excited to have you. It's such a loving community and group of people that you really want to do as much as you can. So, you know, my mom goes back more these days than I do, but we have like a big bag for each family and you have paper, like labels on each one and each person and each kid and trying to just kind of figure it out. So it's kind of like a little puzzle to try to be like, okay, how can we make sure that we're covering off on everybody? These days, you know, as my mom is getting older and that can't really be taking these huge suitcases, is like just trying to encourage her to take smaller things. Let's like, why don't you take like a box of chocolate or like a scarf or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I always have these memories of like the suitcases and packing a suitcase as being such a big part of travel to Iran and the Soghati part. And then reversely, when you come back from Iran, again, you have a limitation of how much space you have in the suitcases. And also a lot of people will be like, oh, you're going there. Can you please take this? And a lot of times it'll be like really important things. Like, can you take this like heart medicine for like my brother who lives there or whatever, you know, whatever the situation is where you really need to. But a lot of times people get really kind of excited and like, can you pick these 3 pairs of really heavy jeans? You know, things have changed over the years.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I think back of like memories of Soghati, it's kind of twofold. One of them is like the anxiety of making it all fit into the suitcases. And then the alternative is that like also being able to savor those flavors and kind of like little mini experiences back here in the US after visiting or having someone visit, to be able to kind of savor those flavors here outside of Iran.
So you want to hear a modern story, literally like just last week?
Yes.
My daughter is in Europe visiting extended family, and the family is on my in-laws' side. So they are Iranian, European. You know, we were teaching her, okay, now take something for each member of the family. The family has parents and then some young adult sons. So for the sons, she took a Levi t-shirt. So Levi's is a company in San Francisco. So she took a Levi t-shirt for each of the boys, young adults. And for the parents, she was given, as you said, when someone knows you're going somewhere, they'll give you things to take that person. So she had to take 4 decks of cards and a big, huge handbag that was a gift to the cousin's house. It took up half her suitcase because she's trying to travel light. She's in Europe. So that was funny. It was very like on brand with what it's like to take Soghati.
Totally. It's a great example of how, you know, we're still using Soghati in our everyday lives, and the Persian etiquette of when you go somewhere to take something, don't go empty-handed.
Sometimes somebody will just give you something wrapped up in a plastic bag with tape or whatever with someone's name on it. You have no idea what it is. Little bit do they know. It's just, you know, a bra and some deck of cards.
That's so funny. Yeah, well, hopefully everyone kind of enjoyed listening about us talk about Soghati and traveling. This is kind of rounding out the summer. Hope that you all have had a really great summer. Thank you, Bitajun, and all our listeners. This was a lot of fun, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app, or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and see you next time.